Nigeria2015 studios still very much here. Check your time, is exactly 8:30, and a couple of hours as we did remind you to the big moment in Nigeria, the presidential and National Assembly elections here in the country. And by the way, we have 13 presidential candidates in this particular election, not 2, not 3, not 4, 13 of them. And we'll be looking at how prepared some of these ones have been, and of course talking about the need for us to have a peaceful, credible, and acceptable elections for us here in the country. Basically, a whole lot has been said concerning security. We'll still stay on that. We'll still have Captain Umar Aliyu in the house, who will be back to tell us more on that. We also spoke with the former Inspector General of Police, all the way from Katsina. Well, by the way, his base is in Yobe, but he's left Yobe and he's in Katsina at the moment. He's told us the importance of this particular moment for us as a nation, known for well that he's also conducted a fantastic election, one of Nigeria's best in 1999, that saw this democracy come on. And of course, we'll also be speaking with a couple of other people. At the start of the show, we did talk with Benga Asher to tell us his experiences from other parts of the continent. Specifically, he spoke about Mali. He did tell us about what occurred in Ghana. And this election means a whole lot more to Nigerians. They say in the history of Nigeria, we haven't actually seen elections so closely contested, so much of interest by everyone and anyone, the social media, the traditional media, and everyone has been speaking about this. We have Kayode Akintemi. He'll be speaking with us, telling us how important this election is to us as a people. You have seen more elections than myself, I know. What a way to start. So, tell us what this means to you.
Well, to all Nigerians, everywhere around the world, everybody is focusing on this election. I have had loads of people sending text messages saying, we're watching channels television, I'm in China, we're watching channels television, I'm in Taiwan, everywhere around the world, everyone is watching. And the interesting thing about it is that it's not just Nigerians in diaspora, it's the entire world. There are friends who are Kenyans, there are friends who are South Africans, there are friends who are Britons who are saying, we hope this is going to go well. So this is extremely important. It's quite weird that we have a situation in our hands where when I came back in 2011 and people were saying, oh, this is the real crunch election, this is the watershed, this is the one that we really must get right. I thought that was the biggest, most important election in the history of Nigeria. Suddenly, this one is taking a new dimension. It's even bigger. It's even more important. It's even more critical.
Looks like we're getting better, isn't it?
We are getting better.
Is it because the same players that we saw in 2011 are replaying this again?
And they're playing it on a different kind of notes. They're playing it on a different kind of platforms. And each one of them now have an extremely more competitive competition on their hands. They've never had anything of this nature before, because what we've always had is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years of one political party that a lot of people keep saying is going to rule Nigeria for the next 60 years. But suddenly they have competition on their hands. That means that people of Nigeria are looking at it and they're weighing their odds and then taking a decision. And some of it is not based on emotion. It's just based on stark, clear statistics that makes it such that you want to say, is this what we want or is this what we don't want? So that decision has got to be made, and this is decision crunch time for the country.
Well, I can tell you something. They haven't seen anything yet. Wait till a woman joins the race, much later. Maybe when out the running. You never can tell.
Oh, yes.
Not a woman already. Professor is right there. She's representing the court.
I beg to be excused on this one, but you definitely understand. In this elections, they have made 2 major front runners. Yes, the Guardian is celebrating almost everybody who's running today, but if you ask, say, a secondary school child or student, who are the candidates? Exactly. You most likely will not get more than 3 all four candidates.
You'll be lucky if you get more than two.
It would be wonderful to see a woman on one of the major platforms, maybe much later in the years, and we can see maybe how that is going to shape the elections as we move forward. Now, this is not to say that anyone's chances are dimmed, but hey, just looking at the major platforms. Now, let's take a look at what exactly has been happening in terms of the dynamics of these elections. What are we looking to see that could be different for the polls?
Well, looking at it from somebody who's been behind the scene, monitoring what reporters are coming up with, what people are saying is a lot of people want to go out there and vote. We've had all of the conversation on channels television regarding the issue of TVC being transformed into PVC, and some people not getting it. We've had the analysis and statistics that have shown that the number of people in Nigeria compared to the number of people who have registered, and then compare that to the number of people who have voters card, begins to make you think almost like a minority of people will end up determining who will rule Nigeria for the next 4 years. All of those things come into play, and suddenly a lot of people are waking up and realizing that I should have registered. I should have made sure that I've got my PVC, because that is what is going to give me power.
There are more undecided votes right now as to when we had the elections postponed in February.
There are more, because the postponement of the election has created a situation where people have had an opportunity to have a rethink. And one political party has taken advantage of it massively to bring on more information about what it can do, what it has done, and what it's expecting to deliver in the next dispensation. So that has made it even more it's breakneck speed in terms of what each one of those candidates have done, touring every part of the country, telling people what they're capable of doing, what they will deliver, and the kind of things that they will bring.
But the question of ethics now comes in. Does it really matter if you look at a candidate and say he's trustworthy? If you look at a candidate, you say we can believe in someone like this. Is it on sentimental lines that this is coming out, or do you think people will vote with their heads as the captain?
As opposed to their hearts.
Yeah. Well, there is a clear case of there will be sentiments, and there will also be people who are looking at the statistics. What has affected my life? Have I had enough electricity? And there are people whom, whether it's on Sunrise Daily or Sunrise on Saturday or our other political programs and so on and so forth, there are people who are saying, I don't know what you're talking about. There is 18 hours of electricity in my neighborhood, so I really don't understand what this thing about electricity is about. There are people who live in certain areas in Nigeria where food is not a major problem for them because they're close to the farms and there are developments in the farming sector, so they are happy with it. And there are people who are not enjoying any of those things. So the nation has that big divide. That means there are people who don't have and who are struggling and who are yearning for whatever it is that they can look for in the next dispensation.
Well, sorry about that. I think we'll have to let Kayode go for now. We'll come back to him. I know we'll have a whole lot of issues to discuss with them.